Good evening, I'm Shashikala. My presentation is about enriching the lives of one of the Sri Lankan main companies, the local companies, which are started in 1948. Hemas PLC Holding Limited. International business in context. I would like to present about the company and its history and how its operations, HR, financial and marketing functions are happening based on the macro and micro environmental analysis and how the strategies have been affected based on environmental changes. Hemas Holding PLC. 1942, the journey began with the founder Sheikh Hassan Ali Asif Ali Hemas. Started as a wholesaler and retailer, chemist and druggist. By 1962, it extended to personal care with French multinational, and 1970 travel. 1907 Hemas Hospitals started. 2011 the Bangladesh consumer business. Today it has gone to Bangladesh, to Thailand, and be in the top 16 diversified conglomerate in FMCG, healthcare, leisure, transportation, and finance. Especially their strategic investments on BOP and the power plantations. When we consider about the core competencies and awards, they're the first mover who has actually started importing drugs to Sri Lanka. And they're still actually doing really good in that business, and they have won many awards, being the first ever corporate health and productivity award and the grand award for Asia's most socially responsible company from Bangkok and Thailand, and Sri Lanka's number 9 the most respected entity in 2019. An international business division, Hemas Manufacturing PVT, has won the Gold Award of being the large category industrial manufacturer. And there are so many other awards which actually you can see if you visit Hemas website. And together with that, when we consider about how these environmental factors have affected, which I conducted an environment analysis, mainly start with SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis strengths. Their main strength is being their experience, stock management, and their brand image. And having the ability of this, getting these profitable acquisitions is one of their major areas, and future ready programs which are actually happening currently in the business together with their strategic plans. And when we consider about weaknesses, actually there are some unprofitable sectors which has actually affected because of the market inefficiencies in distribution and farm, especially in pharmaceutical industry, and high operational inefficiencies in home care and personal care has actually reduced their profit margins, though the overall profitability is increasing. And when we consider about their opportunities, they have the new technology which actually can be taken as an opportunity, which they can improve their new health apps and online health support provider. Actually they are currently doing those kind of things, and government support has been given for them to start their own drug plantation. And demand for healthcare actually from 1948 up till now, there have been recorded increasing trend, which is actually increasing in demand. And they're having actually this category, and there are certain untapped markets which they can actually think of improving in future. And still there are certain market expansion that they can expand into multinational countries. When we consider about threats actually the main threat which come from currency depreciation, which has actually affected the drugs imports and combat competition from multinationals, especially not only multinationals but also from local businesses, especially for personal care. There's a huge competition from Haley's, from multinational companies such as Unilever, and especially when we consider about baby care market, though they have recorded high market share, baby care market is affected by the competition, especially from Johnson's and Johnson's, and they have in price regulation. Actually, the recent 2018, the price ceiling and price fees has affected actually their drug prices, and decline in demand for Morrison segments, especially in that particular market. poor performances of that particular market has actually declined their demand, and which has actually affected as when we consider about the PEST analysis, when we consider about mainly political instability has hugely affected the companies hotel, aviation, leisure and power plantation as well, and government tax and regulation has actually affected the corporate profits. At the same time, drugs imports and import trade, all these things have badly affected the company, their current performances. And when we consider about economic factors, mainly the currency, inflation of drugs, inflation which is existing in the country has affected the drugs prices, and their fiscal monetary policies has actually affected their gearing because of the current investments. The company has borrowing high amount from some foreign sources, and that they have actually having high gearing ratio, and which is increasing, which has further affected because of the current fiscal and monetary policy, and government budget actually to reduce the government healthcare cost inflation has affected them also to reduce their prices, and which has reduced their profit margins as well. And VAT of the private hospitals actually has affected private hospitals profitability as well. And when we consider about socially changes, when we consider the health and aging population actually has affected positively companies demand in certain subsidiaries, and technology, when we consider about more digitalizing, everything has become diagnosed, new equipments, health facilities, more like the digital technology has affected for the changes in those operations. And when we consider about operation function, actually Hemas PLC is working in 7 sectors, their subsidiary, especially when we consider about Hemas Power PLC, Hydropower, Haldravani, Maritime, and when we consider about transportation, maritime and travel, FMCGs, actually there are a lot of personal care, health care, and there are a lot of other subsidiaries, especially hotels and tourism, travel and tourism, and also IT network solutions. Even investment on property has been one of their major areas, the reason they have identified. And when we consider about their multinational operations, actually certain countries they have in their own selling and distribution, certain countries that they export, especially when we consider about hair care in Bangladesh. Kumarika hair care has recorded highest market share, and Myanmar, of course, doing the skin care products, and all West Bengal they are planning to go with this fragrance and oral care. So this is how they are currently, their operations are happening. When we consider about human resource management is one of their major areas, because they have actually acquired highly skilled people who are good at acquisitions. At the same time, they are having mainly 4 areas, uh, mainly for 7 subsidiaries. They are having managing directors for each 7. Their organizational structure is more like traditional hierarchical, where the centralization decision is taken from the parent company, but up to a certain extent power is given, authority is given to certain subsidiaries, their managing directors. And they're having 4 pillars together with 360U, and equality diversity is being practiced together with good recruitment policies, such as in Sri Lanka. Mainly they have ethnocentric, mainly hiring from Sri Lankan country for their top management, even for foreign sales also, and polycentric approach in Myanmar and Bangladesh to prevent cultural myopia. They're having good natural relationship together with the democratic leadership style. Training and development, when we consider about training and development in chairman's report, actually when I read, I realized that they're having LEAD program, which is leading engagement, attitude and development program, which these are the 4 main areas that they're mainly targeting on development in their employees, so that their employees are more loyal and their internal customer satisfaction is achieved. When we consider about the finance, that is one of the major areas. This as I told you, the company is having 7 main subsidiaries in which their healthcare is still providing highest contribution to their revenue mix, that is 45%. And the second highest 34%, which is being from consumer personal care. Overall profitability of consumer and healthcare has been increases, but the profit margin has been recorded decrease in trend due to the cost management inefficiencies. Actually, this healthcare and personal care, the main problem is due to these environmental factors and their internal weaknesses. Their costs have been not properly managed. The quality and currency management matters. Other than that, overall profitability has been increased, especially the profit margins of mobility has been recorded very high. At the same time, when we consider about other sectors such as logistics and maritime, it has recorded negative profit margins and negative profits, which is due to the induction stage. When we consider about the financial performances at a glance, actually their ROE is decreasing. Gearing ratio has recorded very high in 2017-18. Share prices are increasing. Their liquidity ratio is actually decreasing. When we consider about their statement of financial position, especially I checked their liquidity ratio. What is the reason for them to record very decline in 0.4? High very low liquidity ratio due to their high overdraft borrowings, mainly to pay day-to-day expenses, and all they have borrowed high overdraft. At the same time, their payable interest is very high because of the loans that they have borrowed recently for the development of hotels and renovations and plantations. Their debt equity ratio is still below the norm. This is 36.4 in 2019 interim report. When we consider about their marketing strategy, 2018 their market for FMCG, especially if I have taken because it has recorded very high revenue. When we consider about the categories, the highest amount has been recorded, high market share has been taken for hair care, that is 53 points. So rest, the hair care has high competition from multinationals and even other local manufacturers. The lowest amount is recorded by beauty care, which has been actually affected due to certain brand reputation and the quality issues. The demand still is in uncertain position. When I conducted the BCG matrix and identify how their subsidiary is positioned in terms of their portfolio, which I identified their stationery recently acquired market is really doing great, and which is milking to other sectors which are unprofitable. And healthcare and personal care still really doing good, and which is in the situation of stars. And hotel and travel is a little uncertain, and profitability is declining due to the innovations and due to the renovations and uncertainty of the environmental factors and power and aviation still at the beginning of the life cycle and in the question mark situation. When we consider about the industry analysis, Porter's 5 forces which threats from substitutes, actually there are a lot of substitutes for personal care, for their laundries, uh, for their other transportation methods also. And there are certain strategical actions which company has taken to minimize this rivalry among the competition, especially bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of trade for each and every power which has been controlled strategically by taking as per the which I have mentioned. When I consider about the marketing mix, their product, actually they have uh, even one certain prices for being and creating local reputed brands, which is one of their major interest, and they're actually going for diversification, especially unrelated diversification, which is actually a good thing. And they're having considerably good amount of product categories, and still they have the chance in moving into future and developing more product categories. Prices of course very affordable, pricing method and place. The distribution is the most important area where there are certain pharmacies, certain areas are still uncovered, and their promotions, especially they have identified that they have to move into more above the line, especially for personal care, to come back with the competition. And when we consider about their international approach, actually they have this pan-global approach which the Sri Lankan standard is taken abroad, and they have not changed their ingredients or products or prices even when they are moving to other Asian countries. When we consider the last, I would like to conclude this presentation. What are their main areas which they have to pay attention? That is actually new innovations with digitalization, and think of the diversification, and considering the demand for grey and healthy products, they have to spend more money on innovations. When we consider about their future strategies, they have to consider about more into their improving their marketing strategy, improving their HR strategy, and especially the profitability, the areas where they have recorded very high operational inefficiency, personal care and healthcare. They have to identify what are the financial strategies that they can improve these profit margins as well. And at the same time, I would like to recommend them going for a retrenchment or cost cutting approach. At the same time, thinking of their own or private label branding for their products, especially medicines, and investing more on their plantations and producing in-house. And at the same time, investing in cargo where they have not paid much attention, even though they are in aviation sector which has recorded very low profit. And especially paying more attention on advertising personal care. So I hope like throughout this presentation that you have got very good idea about what are their products and how their products are going through, how these environmental factors have affected their 7 main areas of subsidiaries, and how good they can be in future, and what are the areas that they have to improve in future. Thank you.